those who don't know me, my name is Annabella. Thanks for joining me today. The practice today, we're going to focus on balance and a little bit of strength. So not only balance in our poses, as in standing on one leg or standing on our head, but also maybe just reflecting on balance in our lives. So that work-life balance, so you're getting that right, that balance that we have between ourselves and our friends and family. Are we giving as much to ourselves as we're giving others? So maybe just taking a bit of time to think about that today as well. So let us get started in a nice comfortable seated position. Now, however that is for you, doesn't have to be with your legs crossed, sitting on a block or cushion if that makes it more comfortable as well. So just starting off, and right away again we're getting that balance within our body. So starting off with a nice long spine, our sit bones firmly rooted down to the floor, and then the top of our body nice and light, nice and long, reaching up towards the ceiling, towards the sky. So just getting that nice long balance between our head and our sit bones. And so closing our eyes, having the shoulders gently relaxed and slightly opened chest. And we'll just take a few moments before we begin, just to bring ourselves to our practice, just to center ourselves and connect back to our bodies. Starting to notice as we sit here what our body feels like. Just bringing awareness to all the different parts. And just take a few breaths. Start slowing down your breath, lengthening your breath. Just to bring that peace and calmness. Just slowing right down. Letting go of thoughts, letting go of the day, or letting go of whatever's coming up. And just focusing on for the next hour or so, just here, just being in this place. Letting go of any tension in the face, any tension in the neck, and the shoulders feel relaxed. Again, a nice long spine, but letting go of any tension that you may be holding on to through the trunk of your body. Let those sit bones feel that little bit more connected to the earth, to the floor, as your pelvis relaxes, your glutes, your legs, your feet. Not forgetting our arms, letting them gently relax, hands are relaxed. So just take a few moments to connect. Noticing your breath as you start taking deeper inhales, longer exhales. Try and see if you can get the breath that little bit more from your belly. So nice, slow, long breath. So using your diaphragm to its full capacity. So just take a few rounds of breath. Just focusing in on that connection of the breath and the body. So the mind being connected to the body with the breath. Just three elements that keep it all together. These neurons, protons, electrons, or some might just call it the mind, body and breath. Three elements we bring together when we say our Om before we begin our practice. So let's bring our hands together in front of our heart. You're going to take a nice big breath in through the nose And then exhale through the mouth, just for 3 rounds. Inhaling through the nose. Exhale. Through the nose. Nice big exhale. Final inhale. And we'll get ready to chant 3 Oms before we begin our practice. Just connecting our 3 elements of our mind, body and breath. Inhaling through the nose. Just take a few moments, just noticing how that resonates, how that feels, vibration. And then let's start to gently rub our palms together, starting to feel the heat building up between the palms as we get that energy rising up. And then placing those hands over our eyes as we blink back into the light and take our hands away. We begin with our greeting of love and peace. Namaste. And thank you for being here. We'll just take a little bit of time just to loosen up through the top of the body. So nice big circles with our chin to the right shoulder, circling it all the way up, taking our time as we bring it down the opposite side. And take it for 2 more circles, keeping the shoulders relaxed, the neck for our final circle. In your own time, when you do get back towards your chest, just start taking it in the opposite direction. Nice and slowly, like you're drawing a nice big circle, keeping those shoulders relaxed, loosening up. For 1 last round. Ending with that chin towards the chest and hold it there just for a few breaths as we get a nice stretch through the back of the neck, the top of the shoulders. And the next breath takes the chin up towards the ceiling. Get a nice stretch through the throat, front of the neck, the jawline. You could even just take your tongue and just stick it out, trying to touch your chin to really give your face a little stretch, bring some energy, waking up those facial muscles. And then release, chin comes back to the chest, back to center, and nice big circles with our shoulders, letting go of any tension we're holding on with in our back, in our shoulders. And then in the opposite direction. Good, and let's come back to center. Bring those feet together into Baddha Konasana butterfly, just gently butterflying the knees, just that gentle movement up and down, loosening up any tension in the pelvis, in those hip flexors, the hips. Really letting all that tension go. And then let's slow the movement down until we come to complete stop. And we'll come up onto our hands and knees, bringing those wrists underneath shoulders, knees are hip distance apart. And we'll take ourselves back into extended child's pose. So rooting down through those fingers. Start bringing the chest as you bend your elbows. Chest comes scooping through past the mat and all the way up into a baby cobra, full cobra.
and then go back into child's pose. So we'll do that a few more times, really rooting down through those hands, keeping those elbows nice and close to the side of your body as you bring yourselves through, drawing that navel in to keep that core supported, that back supported for another 3 more rounds. And connecting with your breath, inhaling as you're coming forward, exhaling as we're stretching back. Let's go for our last round. And then coming back into table, into a neutral spine, getting those shoulders aligned over wrists and stacked, hips over knees. We'll go for a few rounds of Virabhadrasana, so tiger pose similar to cat-cow. As we inhale, draw the shoulders back, opening up the chest, we look up and we take the right leg, curling it up towards the ceiling, a nice big stretch here. And then as we exhale, rounding up the spine, bring the knee towards the forehead. Inhaling again, circling that leg up, opening up the chest, gazing up. Exhaling, rounding up the spine, squeeze out that breath, root down through those hands. Final time, nice big stretch up. Open up that chest, draw those shoulder blades back. And then as we exhale, just holding the knee towards the forehead, nice big squeeze here. And then bring the foot in front, releasing between the hands into a little equestrian pose. We take the left hand on the mat and the right hand up towards the ceiling, opening up the chest. And then releasing it back to center. So we're coming into down dog, stepping back. First down dog of the day, keeping the knees soft, rooting down through those hands. Take a big stretch through that spine. Really connecting, feel the balance between the connection from your hands all the way down towards your feet. And then coming back onto our knees, and we'll get ready to do the left side. Bring that left foot in. We're going to go into tiger. So inhaling, draw the shoulder blades back, gazing out, and taking that left leg up, a nice big stretch. Exhaling, draw that knee towards the forehead, squeezing out the breath. Another big breath in, draw the shoulders back, open up the chest, stretch that leg up. And then exhale, bringing it towards the forehead. Final time, nice big opening up. And a nice big exhale, holding the leg, the knee towards the forehead as we squeeze out the breath, and then step that foot through between the hands and open up to the side. So left arm goes up as the right one roots down, rooting down through that front foot, and then come back to center. And let's step through into a forward bend, and we'll start getting ready to take our time coming up. Halfway lift, hands to the shins, lengthening the spine as we look forward, rooting down through those feet. We start coming up, circling those arms, a nice big circle as we bring the hands to the heart. And we'll just continue with one round of sun salutation just to really get that heat building up and we get ready for the practice. So Tandasana, nice strong mountain pose, rooting down through the feet, energizing outwards so we're not collapsing in, opening up the chest, palms facing forward as we take a big circle back, a gentle back bend, and reaching as far as you can, come through into a forward bend, take that right foot back, knees on the mat, chest up, looking ahead, nice long neck, always that connection down to the floor and that connection up towards the ceiling, towards the sky as we step into down dog. Let's shift that weight forward as we bring the knees to the mat, bending those elbows, chest and chin touches down. Then lengthen the legs back as we lift the chest into a baby cobra. And then tuck the toes under back to down dog. And we take a nice big step through between the hands. As the left knee comes down, lifting up the chest, lengthening that neck, gazing ahead into a forward bend. Let's start coming up as we root down through our feet, A nice big circle with our arms as the hands come back to the heart. And we'll continue finishing with the left side, reaching back, nice long stretch back into a forward bend. This time the left leg goes back, the knees on the mat. We'll come into a crescent moon, so start coming up. Bring the arms up, gazing at those fingers. Just a gentle little back bend as we lift up through the heart. Into down dog, stepping back, root down through those palms, those feet. Shifting the weight forward, bring the knees down, chest and chin touches, and then take the legs back. Chest lifts, baby cobra, full cobra. Glutes are relaxed, shoulders are drawn back. Tuck the toes under back to down dog. A nice big step through with that left foot. The right knee comes down. Crescent moon brings the arms up, gazing at those fingers, and then come into a forward bend. Good, let's root down through those feet, soften those knees, and start coming all the way up. Hands back to the heart. We'll just take a moment here and just to connect back down to our feet. So our feet, very important part, especially when we're doing balancing poses. So really wanting to feel that connection through the feet. So just starting to notice your toes connecting, big toe, baby toe, all the way around. Inside edges of the feet, outside edges of the feet, heels. And you want to just lift up those inside edges so they're not collapsing in. That's kind of feeling those hollow feet. Keeping the shoulders relaxed, really connecting down. And just start feeling the energy as you root down, rising up through the spine. You're going to start taking the arms up. Nice big stretcher up. Keep rooting down and keep lifting up. Exhaling, rain those fingers down. Let's do that 2 more times. Keep rooting down as we're lifting those arms up. And then rain those fingers down again. Keep staying connected. Keep that awareness on the feet. Final time. Reaching up. And then raining those fingers down. Keep rooting through those feet, toes, heels. This time as we start taking the arms up, see if you can lift the heels up. And just strengthening those legs, those ankles, and then rain fingers down again as the heels come down. Lift up the toes and just give them a little stretch. So really waking up the feet, and let's do that 2 more times. Toes come down. As the arms go up, the heels come up, and really root down through those toes. And then bring those arms down as the heels come down. Lift up those toes. And one final time, really waking up those feet. Sometimes they forget we're here, we're wearing shoes all the time, and they don't really know what to do once they are released. Stretching those toes, keeping the toes flexed, keep energizing those feet. And let's come straight into chair with the legs hip distance apart. So that's taking the weight straight back into the heels, into those buttocks. Open up the chest and then bring the toes back down to support you. Keep drawing up through that navel, through the pelvic floor, and drawing that navel back into a little chair just to start getting ourselves all those muscles awake. Knees aren't dropping, they're staying nice and supported. And then let's release the arms. We'll release the legs slightly, still having a little bend. We're going to come into eagle. So straight into a one-legged balance, moving onto the right leg. Core stays nicely engaged, squishing the top of the thighs together. So we're nice and supported through the hips. Want to keep knees stacked over knees. You could be here with just the toes of your left leg supporting you, or you may be able to take the toes off. You may be able to go for a complete bind, but keeping the hips square so you're not shooting off to the side. If you feel you're shooting off, just release the bind through the bottom of the legs. So that'll take time as you loosen up the hips. If you feel okay here, if you need to hold on to something, do place yourself near some support, just so you can get all of this part of the body really
connected, and where they get the muscles really supporting you. So if you do need something to hold on to, that will help. Taking the arms out to the sides. Let's see if we can bring those arms in. And we're going to take the right one over, the left one under. Crossing elbows, you can go for 1 or 2 binds. If we struggle to cross elbows, just hold on to your shoulders. And then lift the elbows up slightly. Just so you can feel the top of your back straightening, so it's not rounded up, the top of the shoulders. Keep squeezing those legs together. Try not to collapse into your standing leg. You want to draw up through your pelvic floor, your core and your solar plexus, so you're staying nice and tall. The spine staying long. Just take a few breaths. And then let's release, letting go of the arms and letting go of the legs. We'll give them a little shake, and then we'll come and do the other side. So let's come back into chair, bending those knees, taking that weight back, switch on that core, open up the chest, get a nice long spine, and then straightening the legs slightly as we bring the arms down. Weight goes on to the left leg this time. Squeeze those thighs together. Here or here. Get that balance. Now, my balance is a bit harder on this side. My hips are a bit tighter. So just noticing that sides are not necessarily the same and just going with that, just respecting your body and taking the arms to the side. This time, left arm is over, right one is under. 1 or 2 binds, or just holding onto your shoulders. Lifting up those elbows. Keep rooting down through the standing foot, toes, heel. Keep those inner arches lifted and root down through the outer edges. Try not to think too much. Come in and out of the pose as much as you need to, or just use those toes to support you. Balance can be tricky when you have a busy mind. That always seems to be the harder time to do it. And then when you start getting frustrated, then it gets even harder. So just letting it go, not worrying about it, not thinking about anything. And just go with the flow. It's really just about getting into the pose rather than the pose itself. So it's just that concentration of getting into the pose as we let go of the arms, let go of the legs. Good. Final time, a little shake out. And we will come back into chair, but this time, if you can, if your back allows it, feet are as close together as you can. Any lower back issues, just keep the legs hip distance. Bend the knees, bring the hands forward, lift the toes as the weight goes back. Bring the toes down, bring the hands to the heart into a twisted version. The right arm, just get the back of the arm either between the knees, or if you can, take it all the way to the opposite leg. Try not to collapse into the legs. Keep them really engaged. So the knees aren't collapsing. Push those palms together. And then just looking to the side, either down, forward, or up, depending on what your neck allows you to do. And try not to fall forward. Keep that weight going back, but rooting down still through all of those feet. Keeping lifted as we twist. Feel nice and light through the spine. And then come back to center, release those arms, reaching up, lift up those heels if you want to give yourself a really big stretch, and then come back down into chair again, lift up the toes for a moment, bring them down as we bring the hands to the heart, and we take it to the other side, either between the knees or all the way across. Open up the chest, keep the spine nice and long, also drawing the navel in gives you that little bit more space. Nice long breaths as you settle into the pose. Really get those feet connected to the ground. And then let's release into a forward bend, straightening the legs, just taking a little bit of space between the feet. Take the hands behind the back, interlace those fingers. Yoga Mudra just lets you come into that forward fold a little bit more as we squeeze the shoulders. Let the arms just draw you over.
Soften the knees slightly to really try and get your ribs and the top of your thighs as close together as you can. For a little massage to those internal organs. And our next breath, start coming up, root down through the feet, just to keep the blood flow nice and slow, letting go. Take a big shake. And we're going to come and take our step into triangle. And so left toes are coming towards me, right are going behind, or you can mirror me. And we're going to stay with both legs straight, hips nice and square, heel to instep or heel to heel. Want ankles wider than the hips as the arms come out. Relax the shoulders. Again, notice that connection through the feet, not forgetting that outside edge of that right foot. And then it's reaching up. And then up we go, nice and light through the top of the body. So the core, the solar plexus are keeping everything connected as we root down through the bottom part and reach up through the top. So nice balance as we reach and drop into triangle. Left arm down, right one up. Again, check the shoulders in its socket as we settle into the pose. Keep rooting down through feet. And just notice if you need to make any of your own adjustments. Shoulders are nicely stacked, one above the other, like a nice straight line from the top fingers all the way to the bottom fingers. And we stay nice and lifted as well as rooted. We'll reverse it, so start bending that left knee as we come into a reverse warrior. So let that bottom arm just drop back, top arm over the head, and just open up the ribs. A nice bend in that left leg as we really root down through that heel. Make sure the weight's not only going forward. And then we'll extend the warrior as we come up, lean on that leg and reach the top arm over. This time, feel the stretch all the way from the outer edge of the right foot to the tips of the fingers, making sure we're not falling into the knee that we're leaning on. If we took that knee away, we'd still be able to hold the pose. And then release, bring the hands down either side of that front foot, turn the back toes, step back into down dog. And then we'll continue with the flow, or you can stay in down dog if you prefer. If you flow with me, shift the weight forward, bring the knees down, and then scoop the chest into a baby or full cobra. And then tuck the toes under back to down dog. And we'll take the right foot, heel goes up towards the ceiling, give the left leg a nice big stretch, and then bring that, sorry, not right foot, my apologies, go for your left foot. So just switching over, bringing the same foot through. The left foot comes through between the hands. We're on the ball of the back foot. We're going to come into a standing forward split. But before we come into that, start coming up, have the front leg bent into a high lunge. And when we're going to come into a standing forward split, if you have a block, you can always use your block. If you have a chair, you can just bring a chair to give you some help if you need assistance. Otherwise, you can just come straight into the pose. So bring the hands down again, bringing them slightly further ahead of you. So when you shift the weight onto that front leg, your shoulders will be above your wrists, and you can start lifting that back leg. Try and keep the hips square as you lift the leg up. If you have a chair, you can always use your forearms on the chair, and then you can straighten your front leg or on your block. And then from here, we're going to see if we can come into a half moon. So really get that root, that connection through your standing foot, nice long leg. And we're going to start rotating that right hip up towards the ceiling. So we're opening up to the side of the room. And then see if you can move, if you can start taking the right fingers off the floor, just to open up into the full pose. Again, arms are straight up. Oops, my balance is also going off today. Really root down through the supporting hand. Again, you can do this on a chair. And just get that bottom part of the body and get it used to the moves. So chair is always very useful when you're at home, or maybe just keep the right fingers, just tips of your fingers as you just do the bottom. Good. We're going to release it. So start turning the hips in, then bring that back leg down into a little forward bend. Just hanging here, maybe make a bit of more space between the legs just to release the back. And then we're going to start coming up. So soften the knees and roll up through the spine. You can always use those arms, nice big circle to bring us up. And the hands come back. And let's continue with the opposite side this time. So right leg comes towards me or to the side, left leg at the 90 degrees. Hips are nice and square, arms to the side as we reach and drop. Notice the connection through your feet. We're not falling in. Either side. Arms are nicely stacked, one above the other, wherever you want to look. Rooting up into that center of our body and then lengthening through the top of our head. So just trying to keep that balance going as we think about the connections that we're making through our feet. And then let's reverse it as we bend that right knee, nice generous bend, really root down through that heel and flip those arms over. Keep rooting down through the back leg. And then we'll extend that warrior, so just flipping over again, leaning on that top knee and reaching past the ear, past the head. Again, notice the stretch, the length from the outer edge of the left foot to those left fingers. And then we'll release as we bring the hands to either side. Step back, down dog. And you always have the choice. We're going to either stay in down dog. You can go to child's pose at any point. You can take a flow with me. If you want to make that a little bit stronger, the flow, shift the weight forward into a high plank. Nice strong legs back. And you can come into chaturanga with your chest first, or just continue bringing the knees down first. The chest comes first, tilt the tailbone up, and then scoop straight through, baby cobra, full cobra, or even an up dog, depending on what you want to do in your practice. Tuck those toes under back to down dog. And then we'll bring that right foot. So take the heel up, nice big stretch, and then bring that right foot through, back under into that high lunge. So staying on the ball of your back foot, coming up. Just take a few moments here again. If you want to use the chair, use your block to come into that standing half split. Bring the hands just slightly ahead of your feet and shift the weight forward. Keep the hips square as we start lifting that back leg. Take a few moments to find the balance on that standing leg, rooting down through toes, through sides of feet, through heel, the balance on the right hand, the support if you need a block, or you can always keep the front leg slightly bent. You can't quite reach the floor that well with your legs straight. Start rotating that top hip so it opens up, flex the foot, and then you can use your support if you have any as you start taking that left arm up. And so just take your time. Get that top arm nice and parallel as we open up. Keep rooting down through that standing leg. Keep nice and lifted. Keep that balance going. And then release. Bring the arm down. Start turning the hips forward. Bring the back leg down. Relax into a forward bend. Just let yourselves totally relax here. And then next breath, let's start coming up. Soften the knees, roll the shoulders, bring the arms all the way up, hands back to the heart. And we'll continue into a nice goddess pose. So take a nice wide step, either side. You bring the heels in, toes start going out, and we start engaging through the inside of those thighs. So we stay nice and open. And we can start it. Again, just play around with the positioning of your feet as we start bending the knees. I'm going to make sure the knees aren't falling in and we're not collapsing in. So if you need to release the toes slightly forward to keep the knees going, then do so. And with time, it'll start opening up. So you want to have the knees heading past the big toe towards the second toe as we gaze down. And then again, this is a really good pose just to straighten up through the base of the spine, draw up through that pelvic floor, through that root lock. Stay nice and tall through the spine and really engaging through those legs, root down through the feet, outside edges most especially, because they'll want to start coming inwards. Really keep that balance through all of the foot, the connection through all of the foot. Bringing the hands to cactus arms, so bringing them out to the sides, elbows line up with the shoulders, wrists just above. Keep drawing those shoulders back so we stay nice and open and we're not falling forward. Keep drawing in through the core, most especially if we're bringing the ribs in, that really helps us to stay nice and long. And then take the hands behind the back, interlace those fingers, drawing the shoulders down, the hands down. Just think a little bit more as we open up those inner thighs. Really feel that connection through the feet, lifting up through the heart. Get the core just to keep everything together. And then release. Release the arms, release the legs, parallel feet into a forward bend, and just walk the legs out from side to side. Releasing any tension. And we're going to get ready to come into a side lunge. So we're going to shift the weight over towards the right leg. Turn the right toes out as we bring ourselves down to our right side. Heel might come up off the floor, or you may be able to have it down. Then the left foot, just coming onto the heel and flexing that foot up. So we get a nice stretch through the back leg. Most importantly, we want to get a stretch through that Achilles heel, Achilles tendon, and through the back of that leg. So you may be able to play around with the foot and to get the heel on the floor. And if you can, then you can bring your hands up ahead of you. If you can't quite get the heel on the floor, you can always place a cushion or block underneath the heel, or you can just keep your hands here to support you. Just want to get that stretch through the back of that leg so we can move on to Malasana, our yogic squat, and we will have released the heels of that, the back of the legs a bit more. And then let's switch sides. So bring the left foot down and start lining up the feet again if you need to. And walk over to the left side. Again, take your time. I find it easier on my side, which is actually my left side, to when I move over to the right. So just adjust your feet again. Make sure that knee's not falling in. You want to keep it engaged outwards if that heel's on the floor, and then flex the other foot up, the right foot up. Hands here supporting you, or hands in front of you if you want to make this a more dynamic practice. So as always, just finding the right balance of the day for you, for your practice. And then let's come back to center. Let's walk the hands back. Release those legs one more time, just walking them from side to side. And then we're going to step our feet a little bit closer. Turn the toes out. So ankles are probably just a bit wider than hips, but you may need to adjust for you as you come down into the full yogic squat. So Malasana, just dropping the hips down, draw up through that root lock, through that pelvic floor. And again, if your heels are not quite down, just keep supporting your hands here. So you're giving your heels a chance to just lengthen. You could stay on the ball of your foot, as I know sometimes you can do that, and then you can come into the pose. Then you're not giving the back of your leg a chance to just start lengthening and relaxing. So always easier, better to have the hands here supporting you if your heels are down, or just have cushions supporting your heels, because again, as you start pressing down, it'll start releasing the back of your legs. So hands together in prayer if you're comfortable with that. And just start straightening out the spine. Take a few breaths. This is quite a strong pose on your knees, so if you do need to come in and out of it, do stand up and then come back down again. Just take your time. A really good pose to counter sitting
all day. So just working those overtired muscles from when you've been sitting at your desk or sitting for long periods of time. We're going to release again, so bring the hands to the floor and straighten the legs. Take a few moments, you can walk the legs out if you want. And then we're going to come down one more time. And then you can either stay here, or we can come into crow, into the flying version, into an arm balance. So with crow, we want to keep a generous bend in the elbows as we bring the hands in front of us. And you can either bring the inside of the legs, just on the inside of the feet, where the fleshy part meets with benders. And you can bring that to the back of your arms. So you can either do that version. And then you're just going to be playing around here. Make sure you're not pushing into your elbows. We're just above the elbows. Or if it's easier, you can bring the knees to the back. I've always found this was the version that works more for me than when I was learning how to do it. And then just play around, lifting one foot, and then lifting the other, and the other toes down. And just play around with that balance. Try not to look down, look slightly ahead, because if you look down, then you will just fall. Gravity will pull you straight through. So again, you want, as soon as you get that right balance with your tailbone, with your spine, you will find the natural lift through your feet. Just take a few moments playing around with it. And then coming back. Woo, good. And let's come into down dog. So nice stretch back into down dog. Root down through those hands. Lift that tailbone up. Give ourselves a nice little stretch. And then we'll come down, bring the knees down and come into a forward fold. So bringing the legs in front of us. Before we get ready, just give those wrists a little shake. Flexing those feet. Going to come into a nice little forward fold. So nice tall spine, draw the navel in, reach up and over. Keep a nice length through the spine as we settle into the forward fold. Giving the back of the legs a nice little release and the knees. And just for a few breaths. And then as with all things in balance, let's start coming back up to seated. We'll take a little twist. So take the right leg, crossing it over the left. Nice and tall as we take our arms out to the side. Left arm grabs that right knee underneath. And then take the left hand behind you. Have it quite close to you. It helps you just keep the spine long. If it's further ahead, further behind, then just root into those fingers to keep your spine long and straight. And the final thing as we twist is to gaze back past the shoulder. So keeping the spine long as we inhale, just feel the connection, sit bones rooting down the spine, lifting up. And as you exhale, relax into the pose. And then release. Come back to center, take the arms to the other side, a little counter pose. And then we come back and switch sides. So take the left leg across, ankle and knee lined up, adjust those sit bones so you're really connected down, lifting up, grab that knee underneath the forearm, take the right arm back, rooting down through that left hand as we grab the left knee under that right elbow, underneath the right armpit, and then start gazing back, keeping the spine lifted, keeping the sit bones rooted. And relax into the twist. And then let's release, coming to that counter pose as we go a little bit to the opposite side. Come back to center. One last relaxed forward fold. So just let yourselves hang forward. This time relax the shoulders and relax the top of the spine. Feet can be relaxed, you don't need to have them flexed as long as the ankles aren't dropping out. Take a few breaths, feel the length through your spine.
and then start coming back up to seated.
We'll come into an upside down table as we take the hands behind us. Fingers are either pointing towards the side or back, whatever feels comfortable for your wrists. You're going to bend those knees, bring the ankles so they're just slightly ahead of the knees, so that when you lift up your pelvis, then your knees will be directly above your ankles. So I'll take a nice big breath in. On the exhale, root down through those hands, those feet, nicely connected, and then lift up through that spine. Staying nice and lifted, making sure the knees aren't dropping out as we root down. Engage through those thighs. Keep those sit bones, keep those glutes relaxed, not tensing up. We're going to use our muscles in our back, not in our glutes, to strengthen up and lift up the spine. Keep rooting down through those feet. And then we're going to come back down and just hover. We're not dropping all the way. We're going to keep that grounding through our hands and feet, lifting up again. And when you settle here, if you feel you can, try a little balance more. Straighten the right leg, flex that foot, but stay lifted. If that feels too much, bring the leg down. Continue to stay lifted through the spine, rooted through that standing foot, and then release. Bring the leg down, and we'll relax the pelvis all the way down. Just take a moment to take pressure off your wrists before we end with one more time. So root down through the feet, through the hands, lifting up. Stay nice and lifted through your spine. Don't collapse into your shoulders. Draw the shoulders back, and then see if you can straighten that left leg. Really getting the balance through the other three parts connected, and then that nice lift, lightness through the legs, through the arms. Good. And then release. The leg comes down, the pelvis comes down, and relax again. Straighten out the legs. Give the wrists a little shake. And then we're going to come and lie down on our backs. And we'll do a couple of options. We're either going to go, you can either just come, bring the knees to your chest and just take the feet up into a nice legs, relaxing legs in the air. Hands on either side or just underneath your sacrum. Or we can come into a shoulder stand. So nice little inversion before we end our practice. So you can start lifting the hips up, use the hands to start pushing the hips and the legs behind you, and then bring the elbows as close to each other as you can, and take the hands to your waist, to the small of your back, to that lower back, and then start lifting the hips up. And so get those legs nice and long. Get the weight onto your shoulders, drawing the chin slightly in towards your chest. So we're putting the weight onto the shoulders and not onto the neck. And take a few breaths up here. You may want to play around with your feet whilst you're up here. Or play around with your legs. As we're just going to hold it for a little bit of time. Just really making the most of this pose. If you're in shoulder, or even if you've just got your legs up, it's really good for the heart and the blood flow and the thyroid if you are in that shoulder pose, in that shoulder stand. Just helping to balance that. So all about balance today. And then if you're in shoulder stand, you can start taking into plow with some space between the legs and let the feet drop behind you. If you've just got the legs in the air, you can always just grab the back of your thighs and just pull the knees, the legs a little bit in closer to you, so you're going for a deeper stretch. So just a couple of options. If you're in plow, again, just check the weight is coming onto your shoulders, not onto your neck. And then we're going to start rolling down our back. So use your hands as we gently roll down the length of the spine and just release the legs. Release the neck. Take a few breaths here. And we'll come into our final pose.
not quite our final pose. We're going to come and counter pose the shoulder stand or legs in the air by bringing ourselves into fish. So hands come underneath the buttocks, palms are facing down on the floor. Just to help you, we lift up onto our elbows, keep the chest open, feet are relaxed, and let the chest open up. Draw the shoulders back, take the top of your head either back to the mat or just let yourselves hang here. Going for a nice opening through the top of through the front of the chest and a nice little back bend. So keep the navel slightly drawn in. Just for a few breaths if you can. If you feel it's too much, then do come out of it, lifting up the head first and then lying down slowly. I do quite enjoy this pose, so I could be here for quite some time. Just go with what feels good for you. And then let's release. So with our next breath, lifting back up again and then lying back down. Take the arms to the sides. Bring those knees up towards your chest. Give yourself a little rock from side to side. And then come back to center. We'll do one final little twist. It's a nice relaxed twist with the feet on the mat, as wide as your mat. Nice space between the legs. Take the hands out to the side, maybe cactus arms, so bending the elbows, wrists just above, and then drop the knees to the left. Shift your shoulders and just look to the right and take a few breaths. And this relaxing spinal twist as we get ready to end our practice. Just thinking about balance. We're bringing balance to our body, to our mind, to our breath. Bring the knees back to center, bring the chest, the head back to center, and then drop to the other side. And relax. Just a few relaxing breaths. Good. Coming back to center with the head, with the knees. Bring the knees up to the chest one final time as we take our arms around our legs. Take a nice big breath in, and on the exhale, just squeeze those legs into your abdomen, releasing the spine onto the mat. As we get ready to end our practice, release the legs, getting ready for Shavasana, making space as we take the legs out to the sides, arms to the sides, palms facing up. If you do want to go and put on a timer or some music, make yourself more comfortable, just to enjoy the last few minutes of the practice and give yourselves a nice long Shavasana as we gently start closing our eyes and just letting our body completely relax, letting all the tension go, letting all the thoughts go. But just one final thought before we let them completely go. Just that final reminder, just to keep that awareness on the balance of your life. The work-life balance, the balance about how much self-love you give yourself and love you give to others. So don't feel bad if you are giving too much of yourself to others. To just take some of that self back to you. Because without that balance, that's then when things just start not working out so well. And just gently relaxing now, letting go of those thoughts, letting go of any tension through the feet, through the legs, just softly relaxing, feeling the heaviness. As the body relaxes, let the pelvis relax,
Let the spine relax. Each exhale, just feel yourselves. Notice your body relaxing that little bit more. Shoulders relax. Arms are relaxed. Face is totally relaxed. A gentle space between your teeth. Forehead relaxes. Letting the eyes just soften and relax into their socket. Even noticing your skin relaxing, just gently relaxing down. And I will leave you here in Shavasana for as long as you feel comfortable. And I will end off the practice with love and peace. Namaste. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon.